everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Midwest Take. I'm your host, Jacob.
Welcome. I'm Josh.
And welcome to the Midwest Take. About two guys just sitting by a fire, having a great time, talking about our thoughts and feelings, looking up at the beautiful stars. Josh, how are you doing to this lovely night?
I'm doing good. It is a beautiful night, and if you ever take a second just to look at the stars,
I'm looking.
It is absolutely gorgeous.
You kind of just get lost, like in a trance a little bit.
I do.
I
see
the stars or whatever.
I'm a dreamer. I look at the stars.
You're like, oh, there's the Big Dipper over there.
I should get a telescope and look and see what constellations are up there, because
there's
gorgeous.
Orion up there. I'm pretty sure.
I see the one over there. I don't know what that one is, but there's about 6 stars, and it looks like someone's holding a pan.
Oh, this is great for the audio listeners for sure. Yeah,
you can't see what we're seeing, but
look up a star map. You'll see exactly what we're seeing for sure. But
it looks like a panhandle.
I was just thinking. I just caught myself doing it. But you know the term "ope," right? That's like a Midwesterner thing, right?
I say it a lot.
You say it a lot?
I say "ope" a lot, and people down south are like, apparently that's a thing. They're like,
that's
we don't have an accent here, but apparently they're like, oh, like they hear that we say "ope," and they're like, how do you say that? Is it "op" or "ope"? And then you just go "ope," and they're like, oh my God, he said it.
Well, and they say like people come here to the Midwest, like especially in this area, because we have the clearest accent.
I know, we don't really have an accent. That's our accent, is we don't have an accent.
We're not too far up north. We're not too far down south.
We're not like...
We're just like right in that middle area where a lot of people, when they're, say immigrating to the U.S., they come around here because we can speak with such a plain accent to where people can actually, if you're learning English for the first time, it's more beneficial if you start right here. Because if you go too far north, then you get a lot of
Minnesota.
Yeah, you get
soda.
The Minnesota, like that exaggerated
that
kind of
slightly Canadian accent.
Right, and then if you go too far in south, you got, hey,
get that
y'all,
Cajun
how you
accent.
doing,
Get that Cajun.
And then if you go east, you get, hey, I'm from Brooklyn, like that.
Or that Boston
kind of
Boston hockey players are better than Minnesota hockey
and then
players.
Like that Western. What would you say like the Western accent is?
Western.
Like,
hi, y'all.
But that's Southern. What do you?
No, what's a West? Oh, Western.
Yeah,
okay.
Western. Like
Western would be like
what's up, dude?
I'm from L.A. I'm from L.A.
Like exaggerated, like
L.A.
kind of language. That's funny.
I drive a hybrid.
That kind of reminds me of a story, like back to the Midwesterner kind of stuff. To a story back to when my family and we actually went to Cancun.
Very nice.
About 2 years ago.
Cancun, I like that.
It was over New Year's, actually. It was actually over New Year's. We went to Cancun, and when we got there, we heard the troubling news that Betty White just died.
Oh boy,
Betty White died that day, and we're like, well, we're here pouring one out for Betty tonight.
Betty White,
It was
a shot for Betty.
It was a sad day, but yeah, so. Just us, my whole family, we're from the Midwest, so we have a lot of Midwest tendencies. And so, I was there with my aunt at the time, aunt. How do you say it? Do you say aunt or aunt? Like, do you say like aunt?
Aunt. I say aunt.
I say aunt, but a lot of people don't know.
Well, I mean, that's Midwesterner too. Like, some people say wash, some people say I wash.
Wash? W?
Yeah, it can go either way.
Yeah, but I say aunt a lot more than aunt for some reason. I don't know why I started saying that. I'm looked at like a weirdo for
like
saying
some
that.
people say auntie, some people say my aunt.
Yeah, like auntie, auntie, like stuff like that. So I'm with my aunt down there, and so my aunt came up to me and she's like, Jacob, we gotta blend in. We don't want to look like super touristy kind of people. We want to be kind of chill, just be casual. whatever. I'm like, yeah, great idea. So we pile on into the elevator that we were going up to our hotel bedroom. And we're riding up there. And so we finally get to the floor, our destination, where our hotel bedroom's at. And what's the first word out of my aunt's mouth to a person standing right in front of the elevator door waiting to take the elevator down? It's the word "ope."
I was
It's
gonna
the
say.
word "ope," and
Oh,
and I just like cringed for a second there. I'm just like, oh my god, like just as she was just saying, oh yeah, we need to blend in. She says the most Midwesterner thing ever. So after they get into the elevator, they go down. I turn to my aunt and I'm like, wow, way to blend in. And she's like, shut up.
how does one blend in the U.S. though? Because there's so many different accents. Like, it's almost like weird if
Well,
you
it's
don't have an accent.
it's in the U.S. like Mexico's a whole nother specimen.
Yeah.
Especially in Cancun, they have beautiful beaches there, white sand, beautiful water over there. It's gorgeous. But like the Midwest, or like in the U.S., I should say, um, y- you know, I could say we could go pretty much anywhere, you and me, two guys, just go anywhere, and we could probably talk to anyone and get the point across without like having too big of a like if you got like a southern guy coming up, like a deep southern drawl, deep guy from like
Right.
Louisiana. If just like the new Deadpool movie, like Channing Tatum's in that movie, and he plays Gambit. He's like this guy like super like Cajun accent, and good majority of that film, you have no idea what he's saying because all of his words just string together in one line.
Oh, so it's like the guy from Waterboy. Home way you make it.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Or
And
Joe
so
Dirt.
all of his words are just together, and you're like, what the hell did he just say?
Home way you
And
make it.
so I'm pretty sure, like, for us, it'd be a lot easier. But you know what? Extending that to another conversation, I remember my dad was telling me, he was telling me at one time, my dad's an electrician. He's been an electrician for the last,
He's
I want to say like 20,
electrician.
25, 27 years or whatever. He's been an electrician ever since he got like out of high school, I'm pretty sure. My grandfather owned an electrician company, and he worked under my grandfather. And so that was basically his in pretty much for not
So it's-
going to college and
So it's a
whatnot.
whole family of electricians.
Yes. Yes.
It's
so,
good money. Trade
so,
jobs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good job to have. Good. The only bad part is you gotta, jobs come and they go. In that kind of field. Sometimes, when you get hired on to different jobs, sometimes you're going to other places and like working on other, and sometimes you got to travel far away from your house just to work places. Um, but going back to it, my dad, he had two guys from Florida come up to work on the site he was working at. He was working at a building somewhere probably, I think it was in like somewhere in Nebraska. And so he had these two Southern boys come up, and
Oh, a couple good old boys.
yeah, some good Southern, boy, they had their accents or whatever. So he was talking, they were talking to my dad, and they're all having a good time. And somehow the conversation stops with, "Well, geez, Chad, you got hell of an accent on you." That's my dad's name, Chad. "You got hell of an accent on you." And he sounds exactly like I do. Sounds exactly like I do, all the same cadences that I have. And he just he told me, he's like, I stood there and I'm like, what? What accent?
Well, I suppose there's some guys that are from deep south are going to be
Yeah.
like, if you don't have an accent, maybe to them that is an
Well,
accent because
but
that's
I
all they're
think-
used to.
I think what they hear in the deeper south is more of they can hear that northern accent kind of shine through a little bit. Like more, we clown on, we say Minnesota, you know.
Well, like Ope kind of sounds almost Minnesotan. Like
well, and in nature
it's like one
it
of like
is.
we're like not
We're on the
quite
cusp.
north. We're not quite north, but we're like
Yeah.
I'm gonna sound a little bit north. Like
But I
there's a
think-
few things.
I think when you're talking to those southern people, they can hear that. And they're like, "Oh my god, this guy is from the far north." Like, but, you know, in our eyes,
We don't sound.
we sound pretty straightforward.
I mean, if you ask people what's the Iowa accent, like even if you Google it, there's no accent. I mean, there's
No.
not really an accent.
Well,
Our accent is
yeah.
that we have no accent.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we just sound like we just talk.
Yeah, we talk, I would say we talk fairly normal, you know.
Because there's just nothing heavy about our voices that.
No.
I mean, it's wild. I mean, we do have like a couple, like we do have cues that make people think, wow, they must be from the Midwest because they sound a little bit northerner, but not quite.
Right. Do you
like-
ever catch other than like Ope, do you ever say like any of the other like stereotypical like Midwesterner phrases like instead of W or wash or wash, you know?
I mean, maybe on accident. Like I might say worse, but
Do
for
you
the
say
most
it
part,
unironically is like because I say it ironically, you know, it's just like W, you know, like
yeah. I
or-
mean, I say ope a lot. I
Oh,
mean,
really?
like I'm an ope machine. Like if I went down
machine.
south, people would be like, "Wow, this guy says ope a lot."
wow.
Because if I accidentally almost run into someone, I can guarantee you, I'm gonna say, "Oh, sorry about that. Excuse me." You know,
Mhm.
and they're gonna be like, "Oh, this guy just said excuse me. What the heck? We don't do that down here. We don't say excuse me."
Yeah, I know, I got you. Yeah, I hear you on that. So, like, I don't find myself saying that at all. I would say I'm pretty normal, in a sense. I don't know. Normal nowadays is kind of hard to grasp your head around. You know.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say normal. I'd say normal to the region. I wouldn't say normal in general because
What are you trying
if
to
you're
say?
because if you're Easterner, an Eastern accent's gonna sound normal. If you're from the West Coast, a West Coast accent's gonna sound normal.
True.
I mean,
True.
to us, we sound like we don't have an accent, but to them, they might say you guys do have an accent.
No, for sure.
And
For sure.
so you don't. I mean, to us it sounds normal, but to them they may say, well, that's not what people around me sound like.
Now, have you ever heard like a word pronounced like okay? So I have I talked to some people that live in Canada.
Okay.
I talked to some Canadians at some point, and sometimes I hear like you can definitely hear their French Canadian or whatever, but they speak primarily English up in Canada for the most part.
With a little bit of
Yeah,
Canadian
with a
drawl.
little bit of that too. Like they say sorry, like sorry's like a big one, like sorry. But then I heard a crazy one the other day. You know bagel.
bagel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We say bagel like a a
I like eating bagels for
yeah,
breakfast with cream
I like
cheese.
eating bagels. Up there, some actually say bagel.
A bagel.
A bagel. I could not wrap my head around that.
A bagel.
Yeah, a bagel. Like a like they just say bagel up there. I'm like, what is that? And they're like, have you never heard of a bagel before? I'm like, what? I have no idea what you're saying to me
A
right
bagel. And you could be like, what do you? In what context are you talking about a bagel? The breakfast item? Oh,
now.
okay,
No,
a
I
bagel.
just had no idea in general. And yeah, and then I finally figured out. I'm like, oh, you mean bagel? They're like,
Bagel.
no, it's bagel. I'm like, no, it's not.
Canadian
Oh,
accents.
my dear Canadian, no, it's not.
Don't even get me started on the show Letterkenny, because you know I love
Oh
that show.
God, you and your Letterkenny kick. I don't think we need to. the
McMurray, how are
I've
ya?
watched Letterkenny too.
Oh, hey there, Wayne.
That's a heck of a show for sure.
How are you now?
For sure.
Man, that
Letterkenny's
show
awesome.
makes me want to be like, how are you now? Like, just say it in the Midwest, and
Mhm.
it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I get you. So it's kind of hard to wrap your head around, but you know, I'd say we probably get off the, accent train. We can probably clown
Yeah,
on so many other accents, but that probably wouldn't,
do us any
it
justice.
probably wouldn't do us any service, starting to clown on different accents.
No, because everybody's different, and honestly, I'd love to hear some different accents. I think it's cool. I want to go to
Do you
Britain.
think it's do you think it's like more would you say accents are a little bit more attracting or disattracting to you?
I think it's cool. Like,
Yeah.
I wish I had a buddy that was like Australian or British.
Yeah, you wish you'd
Because
hear
I
like
don't
an
know, I
"Oi,
like those. I
mate."
like those Europeans. I'm not gonna lie. I
Oh,
wish I
yeah?
had a buddy that was like had a deep British accent or an Australian accent just to BS with them.
Yeah.
And I also want to kind of learn the lingo because they have a. It's almost like a different language when you're in England
Yeah.
or Australia because they talk a little differently and they
Uh-huh.
use different words,
Mm-hmm.
even though we're talking the same language. I mean, that's really cool to me
Right.
that they're talking English, but they're talking like a different dialect of English. Like they're, like what's like wanker and some of those words in English that you're like, what the what the heck does that mean?
The craziest thing for me to figure out for like the Australian language is the Australian language is just basically British, British speaking.
I know
But
it's hard to figure out the
but
difference.
no, but these guys were just drunk all the time. And so that's why the words were just slurred. Have you ever heard of that before?
No, I've never heard that.
Oh yeah, so
but yeah, it is
basically-
pretty similar.
Basically, Australia, was known as a prison colony at one point that the British would just send all their prisoners to.
Well, okay, let's throw out there that the British have had a lot of different colonies. Like South
Well-
Africa, they have a British accent because it was a British colony. I mean, they
Yeah.
had a lot of colonies.
Well, but this place was prison island. This is where they send all the, the
The-
undesirable people to Australia.
That's not fair.
And so they sent those people were just pretty much drunk all the time, from what I heard, anyways. And they basically slurred the British accent, and that pretty much got passed on to future generations to also kind of be like, a little bit more slurring, more of a, less British of an accent. But it was at one point British. It was.
I mean,
At one point.
to me,
Same with like the English language too. It was
well, yeah, but it was British
British at one point.
colonies that started, and then they
Yeah.
found their own way. And
yeah.
I couldn't tell you how the American accent started, like how the colonies all started in like Chesapeake Bay and Plymouth and all that, and
Yes. big
how we end up
history
with
buff.
no accents in the Midwest. I mean, and how in the North they have the SOTA. It's
yeah.
it's crazy.
Right. Do you find it also kind of crazy for like going like on the Australian like front? Like Bluey. You know the show Bluey, right? Do you know that movie?
Bluey?
Oh, yeah, that's not in your wheelhouse. So Bluey is a Australian kids cartoon
Oh, okay.
about a family of dogs.
Okay.
And it's called Bluey because the dogs are blue heelers. They're blue heeler.
Oh, that
but
makes sense.
They're blue
That makes
heeler
sense.
Australian dogs, and it's like all the rave right now. Well, it's been the rave for like the last 2 years or something like that. And a lot of people write it off like, oh, that's just a kid show, whatever. But a lot of people actually watch this show because it teaches like good lessons and whatnot. Even parents watch the show too and find it really entertaining. I've watched a few episodes myself. I think it's a pretty alright show. But going on that, a lot of people, maybe not a lot, but like there is a subsection of people that like parents will start speaking in like an Australian accent, even though they're not from Australia at all. They'll just start speaking in the Australian accent and then raise their kids with that accent so that their kids can start to talk Australian. Have you heard of that before?
I've heard of like a thing where people like they hear accents.
Yeah.
And they pick up on them. Like
Uh-huh.
it's just like something. I'm not sure exactly what causes it, but they hear an accent and then they start talking like that. Have you ever heard of that? Where they're like
Yeah. No.
you like you're a call center person, and you hear somebody from Britain calling in, and all of a sudden you got a British accent. And
Well, you kind of acclimate to the language
yeah.
a little bit. Like, okay, when I would go to Mexico as well too, it's almost easier. It's almost easier, kind of following the same cadences of that language. Um,
Our fact checker, Mantha, she informed me that it's called foreign accent syndrome.
Foreign accent syndrome.
Yeah, it actually is a thing where you pick up on accents that you hear.
Oh, huh. Fascinating. Um, but yeah, like in Mexico, yeah, like my Spanish is not good whatsoever.
Well, I took Spanish too. I don't think I'm fluent.
No, and yeah, my Spanish is not very good. But if in a pinch, I could probably get through maybe a conversation in like kindergarten language, pretty much. But you almost, in a bunch of Spanish speakers, you almost kind of start following the same, kind of speech pattern. Even though you don't speak the language, you can kind of pick up on how they speak and kind of replicate it a little bit. You
Okay.
know?
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of weird like that. Like, all right, say Japanese, say Japanese.
Okay.
So okay,
Tough language. Tough
It's
language.
super tough language. It takes
Lots
you
of symbols.
takes you 2,000 plus hours to
Oh God.
maybe learn the language. Maybe that is like 3 different alphabets. The Japanese language does.
Is it? I don't know anything about Japanese. Other than
Yeah.
I know it's a lot of symbols and it's a very tough language
Yeah,
to learn.
it has 3 different alphabets, and there's different ways to read, write, and do everything. But Japan's a very touristy, country, whatever. And I would say English is a pretty good language to just, have just in general, because a lot of places, like in say when places people go into high school, they will learn English just like how we learn Spanish
Yeah.
as a foreign language class.
I hear you. Like
Pretty much.
I have a cousin who has a German fiance, and his future stepdaughter,
Mhm.
she learned English in school.
Yeah.
So that's pretty normal in other countries to learn English.
Yep.
I mean, I would say it's not as easy. Like, we think it's easy to speak English, but it's not as easy for other people. And I would
No.
really, I'm curious how hard it is. Like, it'd be interesting to know, like, how hard is it to speak English? Because we have, we have words that have multiple different meanings.
Well,
like
but,
a word that means multiple different things.
They also, other languages also have that. That's
True,
why
true,
it's
true.
the same vice versa. The thing I find about, I'll get back on the Japanese in a second. Thing I find about foreign languages in general is they have words that are both male and female.
Okay,
they
yeah,
have
that-
both male and female. How you would talk to a female, you talk to them this way. If you talk to a male, you would say it this way, pretty much.
Well, that's kind of like Spanish too, isn't it? I can't remember
Exactly.
Spanish exactly, but I think they had la and l,
Yeah.
like different.
Yep. Yep. So, like, as long as you know. But for, like, say us speaking English, like, we don't have, like, certain ways to talk, like, different.
Well,
we
like,
don't have different ways to talk to male and female. We're more direct.
Yeah,
with it,
like there's no male female.
Yeah, there's not.
Like, you
a
don't
different
reference
way.
someone. I mean, you don't like say something different to a. You say hi, hello. You don't say like anything based on whether it's a
Right.
man or woman.
And so that's where like languages kind of, are tough in that aspect of speaking to both male and female. But back on Japanese, So if you want to, Japan knows a little bit of English, whatever, for the touristy spots or whatever. But say if you wanted to get a message across, like say if you wanted to ask for a coffee, you know, I wouldn't know how to approach someone and ask for just like if I went to a Starbucks in Japan and try to ask for a coffee, you you wouldn't know how to say it without actually like knowing the language. I don't know anything about the language, but I would say it in a somewhat Japanese accent, and it would actually get the message across, like like milk cream, like something like that, and that actually gets the message across pretty well. I've heard, anyways.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know how much that works, but apparently, if you say it in a little bit of a dialect, the message will slowly kind of get across.
Well, I just assume, from what a lot of I've seen, like with Japan, they kind of like America. Like a lot of their anime. I mean, it seems like
Well,
they
we
kind of
like Japan.
we do too, and it just seems like ever since World War II, when they had the American influence afterwards, when they kind of reformed everything and reformed their government, they had a lot of American influence.
Yeah,
And you can
a
see
lot of
that in a lot of
Western.
the art. It seems like there's I don't know, they look kind of American, and
Well-
I'm not saying that we completely influence them, but I think some of the artists there, they kind of have a little bit of American art influence.
Well, and they've had like their renaissances of arts, like how they do art and whatnot. But like when it comes to like the animation side, a big driver for what probably animation to them is nowadays was Walt Disney.
Okay.
Walt
Okay.
Disney was a huge
Influence to them?
Oh,
Or?
Walt Disney was one of the first to make cartoons.
Right, right.
They were one of the pioneers of the whole entire, animation market. And I think when that kind of broke onto the scene, that kind of kick-started, you know, the whole animation boom, in geez, basic society in the last like 200 years. That really helped push the bar to where Japan was just like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Let's start creating our own stuff. And now, back then they were mainly using it for like propaganda and everything, use. And so was Disney to America as well. They made fair amounts of propaganda for wars and all that stuff.
Right.
But yeah, Disney was a big driver on cultural impact to, I would say, the Japanese
Well,
market.
that's pretty cool. I'm really fascinated by foreign culture. I don't know about you, but
No, yeah.
I definitely would like to world travel at some point
Mm-hmm.
if I could, because especially Japan, like a lot of the video games I like to play when I was younger, they came out in Japan first, and I think it would just be really cool. And a lot of the game systems that I like PlayStation, are from Japan, and I just think it'd be really cool to visit.
Would you say that's like your like country going? Would you say that's number one on top where you would want to go, or is there some other like kind of?
Well, I've always wanted to visit the UK.
Uh,
Like that's probably my number one, but I
Mhm.
do love Japan too, because they have a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool technologies that we use, like PlayStation, and it's just cool.
mm,
Um,
mm.
I was told when we were not before we were born, when like our parents were kids, a lot of stuff came from Japan. Like when we were kids, a lot of stuff came from China, and like they just produced a lot of stuff. But apparently, it used to be that a lot of stuff, technology-wise, were produced from Japan.
Well, in Japan, during that time, Japan was also in a bubble, pretty much. They were having their big giant technology boom back in like the 80s and 90s and all that. And so they were exporting tons of stuff at that point. And then their bubble popped and everything kind of went up in flames. Like that market started crashing a lot. So I could see
Why is that?
um I don't remember for sure why the bubble finally popped on the Japanese like economy. I don't remember for sure what the reason was, but it's just like I'm pretty sure it's like akin to like when our banks crashed like back in like 2009. You know,
A little
when
bit
we
of a
were having a
recession, or
recession, I think the same thing happened to the Japanese economy where there was too much going on for them to keep up, and then everything just started crashing, you know. And so probably a lot of things were coming out of Japan at that point, and then their bubble popped, and then we had to look for other means to get products, you know, shipped into the U.S. So we probably looked to China for that, if I had to guess. I don't know the
okay,
lore and history behind
that's
it.
fair. That's just what I had heard from my
Yeah,
parents. Like
yeah,
a lot of stuff used to come from there, and then it came from
a lot
China.
of quality stuff.
Yeah,
Lot
so.
of quality stuff, like video game consoles.
But yeah, Japan, PlayStation, man.
I remember like the Sony Walkman.
Yeah, I mean
you ever had a
they did
Walkman?
bring the Walkman back a few years ago.
Yeah,
Like, I think that's pretty cool. I bet.
yeah, like a
it's
nostalgia.
it's pretty
kinda.
cool. Like Japan came out with some cool stuff.
You ever see yourself ever? I think cassettes are kind of maybe making a resurgence. Would you ever?
I
like,
bet they
find
would.
yourself on cassettes again.
I bet they will make a resurgence. I'm not so much a cassette person myself. I like vinyl records,
Uh-huh.
and I do like CDs as well, because when I was younger, I'd collect a lot of CDs.
Mm.
I mean, when I was younger, I did mess around with cassettes a lot. My dad had one of those little recorders.
Yeah.
You'd put a blank cassette in there, and you'd hit record, and I'd record like movies and stuff.
Hmm.
And I'd record the radio. I'd take my mom's CD player, and I'd record the radio, like Stacy's Mom, and that's like all the good songs were playing on there. And
Right.
my aunt, she had Shania Twain on cassette, and I'd listen to Man, I Feel Like a Woman, and
Good old Shania Twain.
yeah. So, but I don't know if it's not real. Cassette's not really a thing that. I mean, I
Interest
do
you?
like it. Did interest me a lot when I was younger, and I do have a tattoo with a vinyl and a cassette, because cassette was big to me when I was younger.
Maybe it's faded then.
But I'm more into vinyl now.
Mm-hmm.
I still like cassettes because that
Yeah.
was a part of my life, and that's why I got a tattoo of it. But
I
I think
cool little.
vinyls are like, it's just so
things.
cool because you got the cover and stuff.
Yeah.
Cassettes are cool, but it's kind of like when between vinyl and CDs, I just don't know if that's something I would get back into. I could see it getting popular again because everything kind of goes in trends. Like kind of like Crocs and
What's the
bell bottoms.
on trends? What do you think like the next big thing will be?
I don't know,
Like
because
what's coming back? Like
because
well, we
Crocs
see
have
the
came,
rise of like CDs or I think CDs.
well,
are
vinyls
slowly-
got popular again, and
Yeah, but
I
that's
think
been here
cassettes
for a
might
while.
get popular again. I
Right.
wouldn't be surprised if people started buying 8-tracks. Like all of a sudden that comes
You
back.
think
But
8-tracks are coming back?
I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah,
But I think
I don't
eventually.
think I've ever heard anyone talk about 8-track. I don't think I've.
Well,
I've
but it's
never heard
that
of it mentioned.
minuscule thing that all of a sudden somebody could just be like, 8-tracks are cool, and everybody buys
I
one.
guess so.
It's
so.
kind of like Laserdisc. Like everybody talks about DVDs, but nobody talks about disc.
Yeah.
Excuse me,
yeah,
Laserdisc.
little laser dick over there. Is that what?
Laserdisc.
Oh, laser disc. Oh, my bad.
Excuse me,
Laserdisc.
Laserdisc.
That sounds like it should be like your stage name or something like that. You ever thought about that?
Yeah.
Laserdisc?
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
All right.
You know, what I think should come back.
What's that?
I think Pogs should come back.
Pogs. I've never heard of a
You remember
Pog.
Pogs? You don't remember Pogs?
I don't remember.
They're like
Pogs.
little discs. They're like little discs that.
Is that like a floppy disk or?
No. These weren't. These were zero technology involved. Basically, what they were is they were like little. They're like toys, pretty much.
Pogs.
yeah,
Oh, okay. They're little
Pogs.
toys.
Yeah, they were like little. They were little disc toys, whatever, and they had a whole bunch of different designs on them, and they were super collectible, like back in the '90s. I remember my uncle was a big like Pog like collector, and he had like a model rocket ship, I think, and it just had a whole ton of these Pogs inside of them. I had no idea what they were. I thought, funny discs. Let me grab these and throw them across the room. But yeah, they made a game out of them where I don't know particularly what the rules are of Pogs. All I knew is they just had some weird designs on them. And I think I actually did see a 9/11 one at one point. That was kind of strange.
Yeah, that is kind of strange.
But yeah, I think you would just like lay them out on the ground, and then you would like throw them at each other, and then try to flip them over. It was a weird.
Huh.
It was kind of a weird time. Like, yeah, it was like a '90 craze. It was like,
well, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
every
it was a weird.
generation
Yeah, but
got
I
their
think
thing.
those should come back next.
Pogs.
Yeah,
Okay.
Pogs.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm surprised you don't know about them.
Well, I was born in
And
95.
you're older than me.
I was born in 95, but it doesn't mean I necessarily.
Right, and I was born '99. And I would say your knowledge is a little bit more than mine. But like sometimes
might be
I
one
think
of
about
those-
the most obscure kind of things.
It might be one of those things when I was like 5 or 6 years old, I might have known what a pog was, but
Yeah.
Since they haven't been around, I'm like almost 29. I may not know what they are now.
What about like I think those bouncing beans should come back. Remember the bouncing beans, where they're like those are already back. All right, so our little side little side host over there, our fact checker, said Beyblades.
Our side checker,
And let me tell you what, Beyblades are back.
I thought Beyblades were the coolest.
Oh my God! So
dude, you have the
all right,
little like arena thing.
So let me.
Oh
tell,
my
let me
God,
tell you.
Beyblades are amazing.
So when I went out to California in July, to the convention I went to, they actually had a whole Beyblade area because Beyblades are now back. And so me and my buddy, we were like, oh, cool, Beyblades. We haven't seen this in like a solid, 10, 14 years at this point. Like, what the hell? It's back. And so we get to this area where you could like build your own Beyblades and then, battle against each other. I will say Beyblade arenas are so cool now. They're like amazing because what you can do in these arenas is you can build your Beyblade a certain way where it's like ribbed on the bottom pretty much.
Okay.
They have like it's like a little sprocket or something like that. It's almost like a cog in a wheel, and that's at the bottom of the Beyblade. And around the whole arena, you'd have to see a picture to it to actually get a good solid, like, to see what it is actually. But there's like this track around the whole entire arena, and when your Beyblade hits it, it starts zooming around the whole entire arena, like going crazy mode. And I think that's the most fun I think I've had in a long time. Like, I never thought they could innovate so much more on just a spinning top.
That's good because
But they ended up like bringing a whole new aspect that made it way more enjoyable.
that's good because I don't know about you. When I was a kid, I mean, you watch the show, and there'd be these epic battles, and you'd do it in real life, and I don't think it equaled out to that.
I had an experience like that too.
It didn't equal out to.
I had a Beyblade experience that you'd see in the show happen to me in real life.
You're lucky.
When I played in that stadium, because my Beyblade caught so much speed, it went flying in the air. And
it was actually like they were battling.
It went flying up in the air, and then it dove down on the other Beyblade, completely knocking it out.
That's pretty cool.
And keeping mine up in the process. It was one of the coolest moments. I had it recorded at one point, but that was on a Snapchat video, and then it got deleted, and I never saved it.
Well, I'm just saying
Sad story.
because when I was a kid, you saw these epic battles on the show, and you actually did it, and it was like, these Beyblades were expensive, like for a kid that didn't have a job,
Did you ever want to like mod your Beyblades? With, like razor blades on the end of it?
I don't think I ever did that.
You never wanted to put like razor blades on?
I never thought about that.
You never wanted to use them as like weapons of mass destruction?
No, I don't think I ever did that. But
I thought about it once.
Beyblades were pretty freaking cool. Like I was into Beyblades for a while. I had like 3 or 4 of them, and I was like, these are cool. I just didn't have anybody to Beyblade with.
That's why you gotta do it against yourself.
Well, I think I did.
Why didn't you grab your brother?
My brother was young. you know my brother's like 6 years younger than me.
True.
So when I was doing Beyblades,
You gotta teach them a valuable lesson at a young age.
well, I would just take the I can't even remember. God, it's so long, but the cord that you would like rip your Beyblade on, and I would do that
the
to
launcher.
two of them.
Yeah.
Launcher, yes.
Yeah.
It's been so long,
Uh-huh.
but the battles were not as epic as the show. But apparently, you've seen some good battles.
Oh yeah, for sure. Did you ever have like in that same vein? Did you ever have like Bakugan? Do you remember Bakugan?
I remember Bakugan.
Did you ever get into it?
I wasn't huge into it, but I remember it. I remember Bakugan.
I remember collecting it for like a solid 2 years. It was like really, really good. Our side.
Our
Mantha,
our fact checker
said Littlest Pet Shops are coming back apparently.
My brother and sister, they had these. Do you remember the stuffed animals that you would put them? No.
Webkins.
Webkins.
Yeah.
My brother and sister had Webkins, and they could die if you didn't take care of them.
Actually?
Yeah, they had Webkins.
Because I had like
my
8
brother.
of them.
My brother
I don't
had
think
like
any of them died.
Well, apparently you're supposed to take care of them. My
Yeah,
brother
you're
and
supposed
sister,
to.
they had a couple Webkins each. Maybe it was more my brother, but that was the big thing when they were young was Webkins.
I don't know if they can die. Would they want your
Well,
Webkins
you gotta
to die
feed
in
them
the
and
game?
stuff.
Yeah, I think they just get unhappy.
Well, my brother told me they could die. I mean, maybe he was wrong.
I don't know about that one. I feel like I would have killed a couple Webkins in my time.
He might be just a faker.
Maybe.
He's a liar.
Maybe. They say Neopets are coming back. You remember Neopets?
I don't remember Neopets.
Neopets.
I remember Webkins.
My first introduction to Neopets were from McDonald's, actually. They used to have like little stuffed toys that they would come with like a little codes on them where you can enter them online, just like Webkins, pretty much.
Okay.
And yeah, you could like register them online and then.
Yeah, that was like that was big, like 2000. I want to say like 2010.
It was a while ago.
Maybe we'll have to get my brother on here sometime for a Webkins update. See if his Webkins
I got a few
still
Webkins.
alive.
I had a few Webkins.
See if they're still alive.
Oh yeah, I don't remember my login, of course.
Well, I don't think anybody does.
I had like
Webkins.
8 different Webkins.
If anybody's listening to this, let us know if Webkins is still.
Give us
up.
the Webkins update.
Mantha says it is, but they've been updating it.
Oh.
Okay.
This update is not as fun as we've been told.
Hey, you want to hear?
They tried, so we're just informed of Club Penguin. They actually did come out with the Club Penguin 2. It's still, I'm pretty sure it still exists, and I don't think anyone plays it though. If anything, nowadays it's more Roblox. Nowadays.
Hey, you want to hear something crazy?
What's up?
So middle school, we had this technology class, and most of the computers had like Zoo Tycoon on there, and if the disc was in there, you could play that. But everybody in my technology class in middle school was playing this website called Stardoll.
Stardoll?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. All the dudes were playing Stardoll.
It was more Pop Tropica back in my day.
Pop Tropica, okay.
You remember Pop Tropica?
I don't necessarily remember Pop Tropica.
Good old Pop Tropica, yeah. We played
back
that
when
a
you
lot.
were playing Pop Tropica, we were playing Minecraft.
I had to do that in makeup school. I had to do some makeup classes over the summer.
Pop Tropica.
Yeah. So I would play Pop Tropica all the time when I should be making up classes and whatnot.
Back when you were playing Pop Tropica, we were playing Zoo Tycoon and Stardoll.
Yeah, back in my day. Back in my day.
Yeah.
It was a good childhood.
Stardoll was kind of a dumb game.
You have a good childhood?
I did.
Yeah, for the most part.
Roller Coaster Tycoon and Zoo Tycoon.
Yeah.
Roller Coaster Tycoon was the shit.
What would you say like your best childhood memory was like growing like what's like a core memory that like you think of like that makes you who you are today?
I used to ride my bike a lot around the small town that I grew up in, and that's how I made my first like couple friends, like in middle school. We'd ride bikes together every day.
Yeah.
one of my good friends from high school, we used to ride bikes with another couple of friends of his, and that's what we would do. We'd go around town riding bikes, and it was just a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I think it was better before we got our driver's licenses because it was more personal. Like we'd ride around, like we would drive around, and that was the thing once we got our driver's licenses. But I feel like riding bikes was like the shit, man. Like we would ride our bikes around town, and it was a small town, so
yeah,
you'd ride your bike to the gas
point,
station or the grocery store, and you'd grab snacks, and you'd ride to my buddy's house. And there's one summer where I hung out with my buddy like every day. Like I'd go to his house every day because it was maybe like half a mile down the street. Like that's not much at all on a bike.
No. So that was your peak like childhood moment, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
I
like
used
the
to.
fondness. Didn't those summers used to last like forever?
Well,
Like,
they would always go quick, but
for me, I feel like I had summers that would just drag. It was just like as a kid, like when I was like, I don't know, 12, 13 or whatever, I felt like the summers would just last forever.
I mean, I was okay with that.
Oh, I was totally okay
I didn't want
with
to go back to school.
No.
Like, I was fine with it. Dude, I played, I think it was MVP Baseball 2005 on GameCube. I played an entire 162-game season one summer. I played 5 games a day until it was completely done.
That's insane.
Looking back now, now that I'm almost 29, I don't think I could play 5 baseball games a day.
You don't think so?
Is insane. It is insane. And of course, I was a cheater. I took all my player stats up to 99. They'd get like an inside the park home run. It's like, wow.
Oh, so you had the
juice the players. I played my cousin one time, one of those baseball games. She's like, "You're cheating, man. Your players are fast as can be." I'm like, yeah.
That's the name of the game, baby.
That's what you gotta do.
That's what you gotta do.
But weren't video games better back then? God. No, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, they're more like the graphics are so amazing now. But back then, it didn't matter like how good the graphics were. You could just play a game and be like, "This is a great game."
Do you remember like the first game that you ever played? Like first like video game? Do you know? Like my first one that I remember was it was a Spider-Man 1 video game.
I remember Spider-Man 1. I used to play that on GameCube.
But it was one of those plug and play things you would buy from like
plug and play. Tell me more about that.
So the plug and play, basically, you would buy this. You would basically buy this like joystick in the store.
What system was that for?
It's not for a system. Not for a system. This is a individual like. This is like an individual device. It looked like a joystick, but like underneath it, like it was a full-on console pretty much. But I only played this one game. And basically what you do is you would plug the cables into the AV cables into your TV, and then you'd be playing a Spider-Man game on the TV.
Oh, is that like an Atari, but it only played one game? Because I had like a SpongeBob. I had like a SpongeBob Atari that only played SpongeBob.
But yeah, so you would have this little joystick, and then you'd have like maybe a few buttons on it, and that's how you'd be controlling the game. And it was just
because that really reminds me of like
that was the only thing to do on it. You couldn't do anything else on it. Couldn't play any other games. It was just this Spider-Man game on it.
That makes sense because my dad was like, when they came out with like the remake of Atari, you just plug the 2 cords into your TV.
Yeah.
And you could play like Pitfall and Pong and all that. My dad got us one of those, and then he got a SpongeBob one that was only SpongeBob games.
Yeah.
A SpongeBob Atari is what we called it.
Yeah. So
maybe that's not what it was, but.
No, so I think I actually probably had that one too, where it was
you'd run around avoiding the jellyfish.
It was
like
a joystick controller. That was probably like SpongeBob's nose or something like that.
Yes.
Was it yellow like SpongeBob?
Yeah, the whole thing was
like
yellow,
SpongeBob?
and you just literally plug it into the wall, and you plug the yellow and the red into the thing.
That's it. That's it. That was like one of the first, like video game I ever played on a TV, I should say. That was because I had like handhelds, like a
Those
Game
are
Boy,
the days, though, right?
like a Game Boy Color.
Like
I had that.
AV, the AV cords.
Yeah,
the
the AV
yellow and the
cables.
red, or the
Yeah,
the
yeah.
yellow and the
White,
no,
yellow, red.
white and red. White, yeah, yellow and white, or yellow and red. The white and the red were the sound, right? The yellow was the
I don't
color.
think the red really matters as much.
Well, there was some
Sometimes,
systems
but
like
yeah.
PlayStation 2 that had the yellow, white, and red,
Yeah.
but some of them just had yellow and white. Like
Yeah.
the white and the red were just the sound. The yellow
Uh-huh.
was the color.
Mm-hmm. I
From
don't know
what
what
I
the red
remember.
does.
I think yellow and red are both sound
Really?
because there was some that was just yellow and red.
I didn't really look into AV.
The yellow
cables
was
that
definitely
much.
the color though,
Oh,
and the white
Yeah.
and the red were just the sound. Because
right.
PlayStation, GameCube, they all had AV.
Yeah, Xbox did too. Yeah, I remember plugging AV cables all the time. Yeah, what an era. What a weird time.
I know,
it
like me
was.
playing GameCube now, you got to have the HDMI thing. You
Yeah,
plug
now
the
you gotta have a
AV.
splitter for it.
Yeah,
pretty
you
much,
basically
like a
plug the
dongle.
HDMI adapter in.
Yeah.
Plug your AV into the adapter, plug
Mhm.
the HDMI into the adapter, and then plug it into the TV.
I mean, whatever works.
Like you're playing GameCube on 1080 HP, and it's like
at 1080p.
1080p, not HP. Sorry,
Yeah, I knew what you meant.
you know what I meant.
Yeah, it's just like crazy. Now everything uses HDMI now. HDMI is the bog standard
Yeah, like it's like how do I play?
for everything.
How do I play GameCube or PlayStation 2 on a
Just don't.
4K TV?
You don't.
Well,
Except
you
with the
get an
adapters.
adapter.
You get the adapters, but yeah, they phased out that whole thing. Pretty much phased it all out in like 2015, 14. You can still find TVs with, probably AV cable.
Good
ports
luck.
On it still,
Good luck.
but it's tough. It's definitely
Even the
especially
ones that have that, it's like hard to figure them out because they're,
You're right.
like TVs back in the day had like 12 plugins. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Like they had 12 AV plugins. You're like, what do all these mean?
Right. The first ever console, like video game console I ever had, besides like handhelds and whatever, was the original Xbox.
I never had an original Xbox.
Yeah, with the Duke controller. That was what they called the controller, the Duke.
So how was the original Xbox? Because
So-
I never really played it.
So, little backstory on the Xbox on how I received it. I always wanted a console. Always wanted a console. It was like I would tell my mom, "Hey, I want a console," and I was like, I don't know, I was probably like 5 or 6 at this point. And I'm like, "Mom, I want a console, whatever," and she, kind of shrugged me off, whatever. I wasn't really getting through it. I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm probably not getting this." And then she used to work at now, rest in peace, Gateway. You remember Gateway? Gateway was, one of the places that used to make like computers and laptops.
I do remember that. My wife's parents worked at Gateway,
Oh,
and
really?
my uncle Brian, he worked at Gateway. He
Oh.
and then unfortunately a lot of people lost their jobs, and
Right.
he had to move to Kansas. But
Yeah,
This
part of a bygone era.
right,
Yeah.
computers.
Doesn't exist anymore.
True.
Doesn't exist. But when it did exist, my mom used to work at Gateway, and she'd make computers and whatever. And so it was fortunate enough that I think it was it was Christmas that year, like it is every year, I guess. And she entered in like a raffle for prizes for her Christmas party. And sure enough, she actually won an original Xbox out of this raffle, pretty much. Out of all the prizes, she got an original Xbox. And I remember the day I got it because she picked me up from daycare. And when I got into the car, there was this big ass box right beside my seat. And I'm like, "Mom, what is this?" And she's like, "Yeah, this is yours. It's an Xbox." And I remember hugging the box. I remember hugging the box and then falling asleep on the box all the way back home from the little daycare we used to stay at. I was so excited. so excited to play on it. And yeah, I was just jazzed to finally have a console. So me being, I don't know, 5 or 6 at this point, honestly, I had a few games for it. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea what I was
Fair
doing.
enough.
I think I had an MLB game for it. I had Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, I'm pretty sure, on it. And I think I had a Splinter Cell game for it as well.
Splinter Cell.
Yeah.
Tom Clancy games, man.
Yeah. And I also, so around that time, the Xbox 360 was about to come out too in 2006.
Oh, that was a big jump.
That was a big jump. And so I think I got the Xbox in 2005. You know, it was kind of the end of an era or whatever. They were probably just getting them out like candy at that point.
Probably.
So my mom, for that Christmas, she decided to get me more Xbox games. She decided to get me more games. And I remember for some reason I went into her room, and on her nightstand, I saw an Xbox 360 game. And this game, you're probably going to get a chuckle out of this, but the game she got me was sneaking. It was a Burger King game called Sneak King. And basically, the king, the mascot for Burger King, he would go like sneaking around and like collecting things and like
you're kidding me. That was a game.
Being a little sneaky guy. And then she got me a copy of a Burger King Racing to go along with it as well.
Oh boy.
So she got me these.
She thought you were a big Burger King guy, huh?
She got me these burgers. I don't know where she got these games. I don't know how she acquired them.
Should she know they were 360 and not Xbox?
No. That was the one.
She didn't realize they were different systems.
That was the one thing where she didn't know that.
Well, it was still early in the console.
Yeah, she didn't know the
stuff.
Xbox 360 was a thing. And so then she bought me Xbox 360 games, but I only had the original Xbox.
Did you try to play them?
Yeah, I did.
And
didn't work.
Yeah, I figured.
Nope, didn't work. And I'm like, Mom, you got me the wrong game. Like, you know, I was all bummed out. I couldn't play my new game.
So did she get you a 360 or?
No, later.
Later.
That was that was about 4 years later.
4 years later, you're playing the Burger King games.
I think I did try to load them up at one point. I think I probably. No, I don't think I have those.
360, good system though.
Oh, great system.
I ended up buying a 360 at one point.
God, 360.
Other than Red Ring of Death.
Yeah.
It was a good system if you didn't get Red Ring of Death.
Xbox 360 was the.
Do you remember that like era where like Red Ring of Death and like I don't know if there was a PS3 version of that. Some people said there was like an Orange Ring of Death.
There was, yeah. There was
like
the,
I'm not sure what caused it.
There was like an orange ring. I know like the PS4 had the white light of death or something like that, where you would just get a continuous like flashing light on your console and it just would never start up.
That's messed up. Like you don't even hear about that nowadays. Like they know.
No,
there's
but
nothing.
I'm pretty sure it still exists. There's still consoles that can brick, and they do their own little quirky thing to tell you that they're bricked pretty much. But I'm pretty sure the only way you get that red ring is if you hack or mod your Xbox.
Well, yeah, like
so I was good the whole entire time. I never had to worry about any red rings. But that was a very notorious.
It was the Red Ring of Death. That was a big thing. My buddy from middle school, Aaron, he got Red Ring of Death on his old white 360. I'm sure you know it.
Yeah.
And he quickly unplugged it and plugged it back in, and he got lucky.
And it worked?
Yeah, he somehow got around the Red Ring of Death. I don't know what caused it, but he got lucky. See, when we had a 360, my dad got us the black 360 with the touch button.
Oh, yeah, the
next
second
gen,
generation,
the next gen of 360. The Slim, yeah, like the Slim.
Yeah, Xbox Slim.
Yeah, and we didn't have that for very long, but 360 was a good system.
You guys have a Wii?
A Wii.
Did you guys have a Wii?
Oh, we had a Wii for a little
yeah,
while.
of course.
My dad said the laser went bad on it, which I
Oh.
think was a little notorious for Wiis. Maybe not, but
That's unfortunate.
yeah, we did have a Wii. Wii really set us up for 360 Connect, and that's another reason why I love 360 is because of the Connect.
Notorious failure on the Xbox 360, the Xbox Connect.
Notorious. I never had that happen, but
No, it served its purpose, but it just did not do very well.
which I don't understand because the idea of not having to use a controller and just having a camera like watch you.
Yeah, but also the bad part about with cameras is you have to calibrate it. You have to basically
you had to calibrate it
Yeah,
when
it
you
was
first
a
got
little
it.
wonky. Like the times I've used a Connect have been okay at best, but like comparably to like the Wii was awesome. Like,
Yeah, I mean the Wii was good.
As long as you had that little sensor bar up front.
Wii Sports was good.
And
Yeah,
you did it. Yeah, the Wii was a
Wii bowling and
awesome console.
all that stuff was fun.
Yeah, it was an amazing console.
But-
it was
I mean,
a generational leap from motion control.
oh yeah, I mean that
and-
was the first system that said let's do like a VR thing, not
yeah,
a
let's
VR
do a
thing,
motion control thing, you know?
not
like,
VR. Sorry, not VR, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah, the whole, you can actually move your arms and
Like it
control your
later,
actions.
it became VR, but the motion control, like not having to use a
What do you
you know-
mean? What do you mean later? Like with like the Switch? Are you saying, or what?
I don't know what I was saying, but sorry,
Because
I
they
messed
did
up on
come
that,
out
but-
with some sort of VR.
Well, I just felt like we kind of came into like later VR with the hand sticks and the headset.
You're saying with the controls and everything for the
Like later
But
it
not like
became like a
headsets
headset.
or
Not so
anything.
much a headset, but
Yeah.
more like a. It led into the way for like a hand controlled,
right. Yeah, I could see that.
and later it became like the VR headset with the hand controls, like
Mhm.
the PlayStation Move with the VR.
Yeah, it
and
paved the way for motion controls in general, and that's what we still see nowadays.
But it was the
when-
first one where you could actually like play out a game without a controller. Like you had a controller, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
you could actually fight, you could actually play golf, you could actually bowl.
Mm, mm.
I mean, it was pretty cool.
The Wii was an amazing console. I have many fond memories on the Wii. Many fond memories. I used to play Guitar Hero a lot. Big Guitar Hero player.
You play Guitar Hero on the Wii. I
Yeah.
used to play it on PlayStation 2.
Oh yeah. I played
Guitar.
On,
I mean,
played on
I wish
PlayStation 2 as well.
by small chance that the Guitar Hero creators ever listen to this, please go back to the regular buttons.
Well,
Guitar Hero Live was a huge failure.
so maybe the Guitar Hero Neversoft. I don't know if they still. I
Neversoft,
don't
yeah.
know if they still make the games. I don't.
I'm
remember
sure they
for
do.
Sure. But I know the Rock Band scene is still massive right now.
Oh, Rock Band 4. I had Rock
Rock
Band 4 for
Band-
PlayStation 4, and I sold it.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't have, because apparently they didn't make very many band sets.
So
of Rock Band 4.
Band is still going. I think they're still releasing music for Rock Band.
Are they?
Yeah, they have a live model where you can actually still play songs week to week, I'm pretty sure. But more than ever now, with all the Rock Band stuff, it is in Fortnite.
Oh, wow.
Fortnite has, with their Fortnite festival and whatever, they have come out with a Rock Band, like, button pressing section in Fortnite now. And basically, the developers of Rock Band, they actually do all the developing for Fortnite now. And they make, you can play with your Rock Band guitar with the classic 5-button layout
Cool.
in Fortnite now.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, and I actually follow a few Guitar Hero YouTube channels and whatnot because I'm just kind of curious.
Well, shoot,
whatever.
we were just at an arcade last night. We were playing Guitar Hero. I
Yeah.
mean, that's just so nostalgic to
It was
me.
very dumbed down, but yeah, it was fun.
The guitars weren't as good as the light Guitar Hero guitars you'd get for
They're a
your-
little stiff.
They were a little heavy, the
stiff,
buttons were a
little
little
heavy, yeah.
busted.
Uh-huh.
And don't get me wrong, I love Guitar Hero and Rock Band. They're both great
Right.
games.
I would say Guitar Hero is better.
I always had Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
But when only Rock Band came out with the green, red, yellow, blue, orange,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I was gonna play because Rock Band Live was kind of weird.
Right.
Like
right,
I
right.
had it and it flopped bad.
Yeah, it seemed like Guitar Hero was if you had to have, in the era of plastic guitars and sets and whatever.
Were they interchangeable? No, they
No.
weren't. They weren't.
They weren't.
Rock Band didn't have the colors. They just
They-
had the buttons, right?
I'm pretty sure they did have colors also.
But
Yeah.
it was different than Guitar Hero.
Yeah, but I don't think you could. Nowadays you can, but I don't think back then you could have like say your PS3 Rock Band guitar. Maybe you can. I don't know.
Maybe you could, because I think Aaron, he had a lot of the.
Maybe you could. I
'Cause
don't know for sure.
Do you remember the Guitar Hero and Rock Band? It was like a game they came out with Guitar Hero 3 and Rock Band whatever, and then it was all of a sudden it was like Guitar Hero Aerosmith,
Yeah.
Rock Band Green Day. They had like the special games that were mostly one
the little
band.
side, just kind of like whatever.
Was it Rock
one-off
Band
games.
Metallica or Guitar Hero Metallica?
I think that was probably a Rock Band thing.
Rock Band.
Yeah,
they had like the
Metallica.
band add-on games.
Yeah, like the Beatles.
The
like-
Beatles Rock Band,
Yeah,
I think
Rock
it was.
Band Beatles. Yeah,
I
they
know
had
Guitar Hero had Aerosmith. I don't know what they
Yep.
had beyond that, but I remember World
World
Order,
Tour.
World Tour.
Yeah, World Tour.
World
yeah.
Tour was a good
That was the one
Guitar
I
Hero
have
game.
fond memories of playing.
Oh yeah, Guitar Hero 3 was also really good as well. That was the
Yeah.
first game my parents bought.
Yeah,
was the Guitar Hero 3 pack.
Legends of Rock, right?
Legends of Rock that had
Legends of Rock.
Slash and Tom Morello.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was probably $100 back then. It was
For the whole thing, yeah. We got it
yeah,
for Christmas.
$100.
We got it for Christmas.
$100. Yeah, my dad on
Like
the day before
2011 or
Christmas, he
whatever.
grabbed it. The whole 2-week Christmas vacation, I was playing "Hit Me with Your Best Shot" and "Slow Ride" and
Oh yeah, it was I was playing.
Mississippi
I was
Queen,
a big Barracuda fan.
Barracuda.
Yeah, Barracuda was a big Barracuda.
That was a great game. Then my cousin was like, "Hey, I got 1 and 2. You want to borrow them?" And I was like, "Okay."
I used to play Guitar Hero 2 a
It
lot.
had like "Sweet Child of Mine" on Guitar Hero
Yeah.
2, and I mean those games were just amazing. Like, oh my god, that was my childhood.
Bring back more plastic guitars.
Dude, I for people that don't play guitar, I mean those are fun
Do
games.
you think it helps you? Like learn a guitar?
You know Adam Levine from Maroon 5, right?
I do.
I'm pretty sure when I was younger, one time he said, I tried playing Guitar Hero knowing how to play guitar, and it's tough if you already know how to play guitar to play
Yeah.
Guitar Hero.
You know what people do?
What's that?
Instead of Rock Band.
What, Rocksmith or what?
Yeah, Rocksmith.
Is that? I've never heard if that's actually that good or not.
So,
Because I
my
thought about
buddy-
getting it.
My buddy, I don't know how much it help you, but from what I've seen, my buddy, he has it, and he plays it, I would say fairly regularly or whatever.
Rocksmith.
And yeah,
Okay.
it looks like, you actually can.
Learn the chords and the notes
Yeah,
and all that.
in a sense. Now, if you gave him a guitar, I don't know how much that would translate over.
Well, I think you actually do use a guitar.
No.
I thought you use a real guitar and it's a guitar
No.
amp that
no,
you plug
it's
into.
not. It's not a real guitar. It's like I don't think there's any buttons on it, but it's more of a. It's more
realistic,
of a, like
or-
a touch guitar. Like you can basically put your. Maybe correct me if I could be way off on this one.
Yeah, I thought that
um,
was a real guitar on those.
But no, I don't think it is a real guitar.
But
I
I'm gonna.
don't think so, anyways.
I mean, I would love to know how to play guitar. I'm just saying, I have short fingers, and it's hard to play the chords.
What
well,
do you think? You're a married man. You're a
Okay,
married man.
yeah,
of
I am
course,
a
of
married
course.
man.
If you had, like, all right, if you had, you got some sort of game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You got some sort of game. What would you say, like, the best thing is to, like, say, pick up a woman or something? Like, if you had a trait to, like, have, what would you think, like, would be sexy to, like, a woman?
In accordance to what? Like,
Just anything.
what would pick up a woman?
Yeah, like being a lumberjack or something like that, or like
I don't know. I think girls like when you can play real guitar. Like,
Yeah, you think like playing an instrument would be like
Well, not any
the
instrument. I don't
sexiest
think
thing
like
to.
playing the trombone's gonna be like, oh my god, that guy's playing trombone. That's
I mean,
hot.
any instrument I think would do okay.
Well, I think if you played like bass guitar or drums or
Mm.
sang in a band,
Mm.
I
Mm.
think girls find that attractive, especially if you can sing and play guitar.
I think people like a good book recommendation. Do you think books
A book recommendation.
like come on, if you have like, oh yeah, I'm really into books.
There is some people like
I would
I've been
say
talking
so.
about Aaron this whole episode. His wife, she's into books.
Yeah, I would say that'd be pretty.
I mean, I don't think he's into books, but like if you want to talk to her about something, like
yeah, because like
talk
say,
to her about books. Because I've
'cause
like,
say if you like had read a same book series as someone, that's like the biggest common interest. Like so for you, like say if you met someone that has read the whole Harry Potter franchise.
I would say that's cool because I've also read all
and
the
so
Harry
then
Potter
you
books.
can like be like, oh, I've read that all too. Let's talk about it.
Well, yeah, I'm
I
like,
don't think you'd want to talk about Harry Potter because that's pretty controversial. But it's just
well,
something that you'd
whatever.
have kind of in,
But
in
like,
common a little
to
bit.
like my buddy Aaron's wife, like to commonality to her, they're both in law enforcement,
No.
and I've been reading a book series about a female FBI agent.
Mm.
So she, that's something up her alley, right?
Mhm.
Like, if she hasn't read them yet, like I was like, read these books because it's about a female FBI agent, and I think
Mm.
they're really good books.
Mm.
And I'm on the last one, and I need to hurry up and finish it, but you know what I mean, like.
You a big book reader? Zero?
I am at times.
Do you like books?
I do like to read.
Mhm.
Sometimes I get a little sidetracked because I do like to play video games as well. So I
Mm.
play video games, and most of the time when I read, it's right before bed, before work.
Oh yeah.
Like I'll just pick up a book like 30 minutes before bed.
Yeah.
And I'll just read for a little bit, and I'll go to bed.
Huh.
And lately, I just haven't had time to read because I've been so busy.
Yeah, I find it harder nowadays to.
I
Pick
still do enjoy a good book.
I like a good book. I just have to really dedicate myself like the book I'm reading right now. I've probably been reading for like the last 2 years.
I will say it takes longer to read a book now than it did when I was in high school when I
Oh,
had
for
nothing
sure.
to do.
For sure.
Like I have a lot of stuff going on. Like I work every week.
Mhm.
When I have days off, I like to spend time with my wife. I like to play video games.
Mm.
And it's like, okay, I want to get this book finished. When am I going to have time to finish it?
Mm.
And I have to make time to read that book. And I'm like,
Right.
I want to. It's like it's kind of on the back burner, but I want to get it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I enjoy reading books, but it's kind of gets put on the back burner.
I understand
So
that.
I'm like, I gotta get on this book.
Yeah.
And you understand that, right? Because adult life, you get kind of busy and
It's a time sink. It just the more and more that you grow up and you start to progress through life, the more and more you think like, oh, hey, I'll have like, once I get all my things figured out, I'll have a lot more time to do stuff. That's never the case. Ever the case. Because
Like-
you always think you just like for me nowadays, I find time is super hard to come across nowadays because I'm always constantly doing something to where you can't keep up with everything, and it's just making time for doing things is the toughest part about life, I find.
I mean, to me, adult life is prioritizing what's important
Mm.
and putting things that aren't as important on the back burner.
Mm.
And you still got to try to make time for those things.
Mm.
But I mean, it's like you have plenty of time. Like I only work right now. I'm only working 4 days a week.
Right.
But you still have to. When you have those 3 days off, you have things you need to get done, right? Like I want to
Right.
get this done. I want to get that done. And things get put on the back burner, and you're like, I gotta find time for this.
Yeah. And sometimes you just don't have ambition.
Yeah.
Think, ambition is a tough one, a tough sell for me. Like nowadays, it's just like, kind of kicking yourself to go do, things in life. I find is like the hardest, you know, force for me to get over. in my life. Like if I don't know, I don't have any really good examples right now,
Well, to
but
me,
I know I've definitely done it in the past.
well, I'm just gonna throw this out there.
Yep.
Okay, when you're a kid, you have all the energy in the world.
Yep.
You only go to school from 8:30 to 3. That's what? 3:30. That's 8 hours. When
Sure.
you're an adult, you work 40. Most people work 40 hours. Some people work 50.
Mhm.
And you're working your butt off. I mean, that works. You're tired when you get home from work, and
Right.
you're getting older.
Mhm.
So you just don't have the motivation to do the things you did when you're younger. Because when you're younger, you're like, I'm off school, I'm bored. When you get older, you're like, I just don't have the motivation to do this because I'm getting older. And we're not old. I'm only almost 29. You're only 25. I mean,
Mm.
but still, it hits you. You're like, I'm working my butt off at my job. I just don't have the motivation to do everything I used to do.
Exactly. I feel that. Yeah. And that's a tough cycle to kind of.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Getting older is.
Well, yeah, getting older and then finding that you can't do everything. Is there anything? So, I guess a little bit of a deeper question. I guess. We all had ambitions growing up, like want to go
Right.
do things,
Right.
and whatever. Just like me with my, failed DNR experience, whatever. Being in wildlife stuff, which I probably still could do at some.
Well, yeah, you can.
But-
Anytime you could say I want to do that,
But
and do it.
I would say right now
It gets harder as you're older.
my priorities have shifted a lot. Um, is there anything like that you have failed to do or like wanted to do, but you just didn't do it just because of a lot of things came up and you just couldn't pursue that endeavor anymore?
Well, I mean, like I said.
What'd you want to do when like you got out of high school?
Well, like I said last time, I wanted to be a history teacher, and it just
Right.
didn't work out.
Right. But
College
that
wasn't
was your goal.
College wasn't necessarily for me, but I feel all right now.
There wasn't any other other pressing jobs that you like when I was
No.
like a real little kid. I wanted to be a firefighter, something like that.
I mean, being a firefighter would be cool. I'm not
So
gonna lie,
a
but
history teacher was like your
that was my job, and once that didn't happen, I didn't really have a second.
you didn't really have another option.
Wait, and that's whatever. Like,
Yeah.
It's in the past.
Mhm.
Water over the bridge. I'm making good money.
Right.
Sure, there's times, right? Like I said last time, I wish I had went to college because there's certain jobs you have to go to college or you can't do it. And I'm okay with where I'm at. I don't have any regrets. Like, I'm doing fine.
That's good.
I mean, maybe,
Good for you.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's good to be comfortable.
Yeah, and maybe eventually me and my wife will want to move somewhere else and try something different,
Oh yeah.
But right now, we're okay. Yeah. There might be some different places we want to try living.
Mm.
But for right now, we're cool with where we're at, and
Mhm.
I don't have any regrets.
Well, and nor should you. I don't think having and you're always gonna have regrets in life.
Yeah, like you could be like,
I
I
feel
wish I
like-
would have went to college and did this. I
or
wish I would have went and did that.
I wish I would have went after that girl, or
Yeah.
there's always gonna be regrets in your life, but that just comes with it. Comes with living, I would say. Comes with oh, I should have took that opportunity, but look where we are right now.
See, that's why you gotta.
Everything that we have done so far has gotten us to this point right now.
Yeah,
and
I
you
mean, I'm
recording
good
underneath
where
the
I'm at.
stars.
I'm good where I'm at. Are you good where you're at?
Yeah, but of course, I want, I think people should aspire for higher. Always aspire for higher.
Yeah, like if you're gonna take a different job, make
Yeah.
more money.
Yeah,
Like that's
I think a lot of people should
that's
aspire
where
for,
my
higher.
like that's my goal. Every time I've left a job, I said I'm gonna make more money than the next job that I left because otherwise it's not worth leaving.
Right.
So if
right.
I'm gonna leave my next job, I better have a better job.
Understandable.
Like you've seen me at multiple jobs and that I've worked at, and I have to make more money than the next job that I made, or I'm not gonna leave. And that's why I worked so long at the last job I worked at, is because I needed to find that next job.
Now, on that kind of thing, making money is one thing, and currently right now we are behind your house. You own this house that you have right now.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, you own the house. You're not renting the house. You own a house. And a lot of people nowadays, myself including, do not own a house. A lot of people still rent, still, still keep to themselves, still pay the man, for just living, and are just fine with that. Would you say, as a home buyer, would you say it's worth it to have a house nowadays?
I would say owning your own property is better. I mean, you're putting your money towards something. It also depends on the you got to look at all the different aspects of owning a house, like interest rates. Like
Sure.
I would say when I bought my house, interest rates were low because of COVID. I don't know if I would recommend buying a house right now because I know I have a buddy that bought a house probably a year ago and interest rates are way higher. So I would say there's different things you got to look at because in certain situations, maybe renting's better for you.
Yeah.
Like it's not always to say that you should own a house versus renting a house because for some people it is better to rent a house because you don't have all those responsibilities.
Right.
Because like right now, if my furnace went out, I'd probably have to spend $10,000 to buy.
Yeah,
a new
you would
furnace.
have to pay for it. It's your.
Yeah, if you rent a house,
You
you
know.
don't have to pay for
Yeah,
that. The person that is renting to you owns that house. They owe the furnace.
Right. And that's kind of like where I'm at too. It's just like I like renting. I have been, a renter my whole entire life, pretty much ever since my adult life.
Yeah.
I've been a renter. And not having that burden on you to, say if your furnace or your air conditioning went out or anything else went out, like I don't have that responsibility. That is all on my landlords to come and fix it for me.
Yeah, and
it's a little bit of a like, oh yeah, it's a little bit it's out of my hands, it's
well,
not
and if
up
you
to me.
and honestly, if you get a mortgage, it's usually either 15 or 30 years.
Right.
Most people go the 30-year route.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're basically, if you're 25, you're going to have a mortgage till you're 55.
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
I mean, maybe you want to rent for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to scare people away from owning a house because it is nice to put your money into something. If
Right.
you rent a house, you're not putting your money into anything.
True.
But you're also free to move if you want to move,
Yeah.
if you're not in a lease.
Yeah, that's the flexibility of the whole renting, aspect of life. And I guess that's kind of what I am more drawn towards to right now, currently in my life right now.
Yeah, you seem like you are, you're just kind of figuring out where you want to live. You
Yeah,
know?
well, and you got to think, I don't have a girlfriend.
Yeah, you don't
I
have.
don't have a girlfriend. I have nothing really tying me down other than
Yeah,
family
see, you don't
and
want to be
friends.
tied down for 30 years. You want to be like, I got to figure out where I'm going to
Yeah.
live the rest of my life before I.
Well, right. And, and I like the flexibility of, it just all my own, just kind of like, all right, I can basically do whatever, see
And-
whatever. I can go anywhere, pretty much.
And I'm happy for it because
Well, and vice versa. I'm happy
Yeah.
for you too because you seem so happy.
Yeah,
in your
like
current
everybody,
situation right now.
like there's two, you know, I'm happy for you to be able to figure out what you want to do, and be able to go where you want to go.
Mm.
And I think the ultimate goal of a lot of people is to eventually get married and have kids. And
Yeah,
there's
understandable.
different paths in life, and I'm happy for you.
And you know what? We're happy for you, dear listener. Whatever living situation you're in currently right now, too. Your living situation's great, and keep if you like living the nomadic lifestyle and moving place to place, just having a good time, embracing this wonderful world that we have, go do it.
Yeah, we're
But-
looking at a beautiful view right now from this fire.
Yeah.
The stars are just gorgeous.
Exactly.
It really is.
Yeah, it is picturesque out here, and just being out here is quite amazing. Quite amazing.
Sure
I
is.
wish we could show you a picture of it right now, but this is just an audio podcast. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this edition
Yes.
of the Midwest Take. I hope you all enjoyed.
If you do
And,
enjoy, go ahead and subscribe to Jacob's YouTube channel.
That would help a lot. That'd help a lot. Like, comment, subscribe.
We're still early in this podcast, so
Well, it's episode 2.
yeah, we're on episode 2. So
We're on episode 2 right now.
we're only on YouTube. We're gonna need subscribers and likes.
Mhm.
If you want us to get on Spotify and
Oh,
some of those other stuff,
big Spotify. Yes.
we're gonna have to
Big.
get some views and some likes.
Oh,
but
boy. Yeah, everyone, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Midwest Take. I'm your host, Jacob.
and I'm Josh. Thank you for listening.
Everyone, have a great rest of your night. Bye now.